Hello everyone, hi, I'm Jewel and welcome to my channel. Today's story is Cheerleader or Nag. You decide. This story is coming from the National Kidney Foundation and was written by Bonnie Bemis. Let's get started. Caregiver, a noun. First definition, a family member or paid helper who regularly looks after or cares for a child or a sick elderly or disabled person. A second and more personal definition for me, a spouse who regularly looks after a person with CKD or transplant recipient. When my husband Jim was diagnosed with stage 3 CKD several years ago, it kind of turned our world upside down. Jim had struggled with hypertension and as a result of two back surgeries had grown accustomed to taking Advil quite liberally. He was told that those two factors had contributed to his declining kidney health. We quickly put together a plan to try to at least slow the progression of his kidney decline. I informed myself of all the details of the DASH diet, which had been recommended by Jim's nephrologist. Dietary approaches to stop hypertension is an eating plan designed to lower blood pressure. We measured out the sodium allotment for the day, and I knew that I could use 900 milligrams for our evening meal. We removed all processed food from our snack shelf and committed to a new way of eating. I was responsible for menu planning and grocery shopping, and I felt empowered that my contribution might make a difference. As Jim's disease progressed, I was constantly defining and redefining my role as a caregiver. The meal prep role was simple compared to the days, weeks, months following Jim's kidney transplant in 2008. The avalanche of information pre and post transplant was overwhelming. I became a second set of eyes and ears for Jim as he adjusted to a life centered around labs and pharmaceuticals. Slowly, my role as caregiver took on a confounding duality. I was at once cheerleader and nag. Again, my role as menu planner and meal prep was simple compared to the challenge of weighing in when to speak up when observing Jim being non-compliant and when to dismiss something as inconsequential. Never was that more evident than in our yard. We both love yard work, enjoyed every aspect of maintaining a beautifully landscaped outdoor space. Jim was to use a mask when working in the yard, and sometimes, sans mask, he would absent-mindedly just start picking up twigs, dead headings, a few perientals, etc. A bout of aspergillosis brought Jim's activity in the yard to a screeching halt, and I was saddened by my role as caregiver turned yard police, nag, and cheerleader. A move to a townhouse eliminated the need for either of us to actively work in the yard, and I was happy to take off my yard police hat. The pharmaceuticals are no longer a challenge, it is just routine now. I got to be a cheerleader as Jim committed to clocking the miles from New York to LA last year. We haven't relaxed our guidelines regarding sodium, but over time it's become routine to check sodium in recipes. I've learned to prepare crock-pot meals without the ever-popular cream of mushroom soup. Eating out is no longer a landmine of bad choices. It has been almost 15 years since the diagnosis of stage 3, and through all the ups and downs of CKD and transplantation, there has been an immense learning curve. I am grateful to all the downhill slide of the curve. My role as caregiver continues as I constantly try to educate friends. Why is it important to decline an invitation to our home if they or their children are not well? So many people have suggested that Jim needs to build up his immune system so he wouldn't worry so much about getting sick. I love the opportunity to educate them on what it means to be immune suppressed and why we feel so protective of the kidney our son donated, and why I am such an advocate for the National Kidney Foundation. Okay, everyone, this was Cheerleader or Nag, You Decide. And this story and all of the other stories that I've been talking about come from KidneyStoriesMinnesota.org. And it comes from the National Kidney Foundation. So everyone, if you like this story, please like, share, subscribe. And as you see Bonnie talking about Jim's condition as a transplant, a lot of people really don't understand sometimes that we go the extra mile to try to stay as healthy as we can. And when she was suggesting that, people that are sick or their children are sick, we kind of stay away from family members or people that are sick with illnesses because, our immune system is suppressed. So, of course, we can get sick and ill very, very easily. So, we have to be very, very careful. And as Bonnie was saying, when you first get a transplant, it is very, very challenging to stay out of crowds and so on because it's just a way of life that you have to adjust to. So, one of my ways of adjusting after my transplant, which I still do right now today, constantly, and my family tease me about it, is I wash my hands constantly. When I come back in the house, the first thing I do, no matter where I've been, is I wash my hands. In the house, I wash my hands. It's just something that I do to make sure that germs are not a part of my hands. And another thing that I do is I will not and do not eat off of buffets. It's just something that you were taught to do when you first have your transplant. And I've continued to do that because, as you know, a buffet is a smorgasbord of food, and there's so many people that are eating off of it that you really can't keep up of who is who, or children that are eating off it and touching utensils. So for me, that is one of my big peeves. I do not and will not eat off a buffet. But that's just me, and there are many people that, as they go along, choose things that they do and not do. But that's a personal, preference for me. So, guys, as you see, this is an interesting story that I really bonded with, and I wanted to um, I wanted to let you guys hear it and to know that this is CKD is a struggle, that it is, but you can also live a pretty normal life if you follow certain rules, and that is something that most people that have CKD do every day. This is an everyday journey that we take and we do every day. And as you see, there are many people. I can't even tell you the number of how many people that have CKD right now that continues a normal life, but we all do. And we wanted you to know, and I wanted you to know that if you do have CKD, it is something that's very, very doable for all of us. But the only thing that we have to do is stay compliant with our doctor's orders. Always stay compliant, guys, because that is going to keep us healthy. Always stay positive. Always stay positive, guys, because that takes us forward. And always have hope. Hope is something that moves life, moves mountains. It can move us all, guys. So take care of yourself, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.